Krunker has easily been one of my most pleasant surprises in terms of games that I did not expect a whole ton out of. When I go into games, I try not to have preconceived opinions of the game and let the game itself formulate my opinions on it. But as hard as I try to do that, it is hard to go in completely open-minded. And in the case of Krunker, when I was suggested it and looked into it, I saw a free-to-play browser shooter with Minecraft-style graphics, and I can't say that that instilled a ton of hope in me, that it would turn out to be the great enjoyable experience it has been. Hey, just want to cut in real quick. I'm recording this after the fact, so you'll kind of notice some of my footage is a little funky. Basically, the day I decided to record all this, Krunker's utility settings decided to not work, so that screwed with the no gun models because I couldn't modify my crosshair, and that screwed up the scope. Well, anyways, back to the video. I won't get on and tell you that Krunker is by any means perfect. But for a free-to-play game that you can play out of your browser, it is pretty sweet. Just as a side note, you definitely should download the client because it runs a lot better. But if you want to just get into the browser with no investment, no download, then you can give it a shot. Anyways, we'll continue. The game consists of 5 maps that seem to take inspiration from other games to different degrees. For example, Little Town feels very much like Nuketown, and parts of Berg definitely give off some of the Dust 2 vibes. The other 3 map inspirations are not as apparent, with my favorite looking map being Genji, which is a map set in a Japanese themed metropolitan, on top of connected rooftops. The only downside to this map is that if you're not careful, you'll fall off, and I'll be honest, this happens to me way more often than I like to admit. I will say that the spawns in this game are not amazing. With little coordination, it seems pretty easy to set up spawn traps and predict spawns. But luckily, since most people are just playing casually in pubs, I've rarely had that happen. To play on these default maps are a handful of default game modes that if you play any shooters you'd be familiar with. And this consists of free-for-all, team deathmatch, hardpoint, and capture the flag. My favorite of these is free-for-all, as I feel it works the best with the game's fast-paced mechanics and time to kill. And since very few people use the chat in-game or coordinate in regular servers, not having to try and play objectives makes free-for-all and team deathmatch the most enjoyable for me. Don't get me wrong though, hardpoint and capture the flag play perfectly fine. I just find the other modes a little more enjoyable in pubs, which is a majority of the game. One cool thing is that on the default servers, rounds are only 4 minutes long, so even if you get into a lopsided or not enjoyable match, the game will be done super quickly. This also makes the game great for hopping on for quick sessions, and since it auto drops you into servers, there's no matchmaking time. You just load up the game, click play, and off you go. I love hopping in for a quick game or two between doing other stuff, like writing the script for this video. Another awesome thing is that if none of those maps or game modes interest you, there are a ton of custom game servers running anything from battle royale games to Infection on a whole slew of user-created maps. The only downside to this is that you don't gain experience or the game's currency on custom servers, which is KR. You use these KR to buy spins or loot boxes where you can unlock different gun skins and character skins. Some of the contraband skins, which is the highest rarity in the game, are pretty damn sweet. Sadly, I've yet to pull any as it's like a 0.5% chance though. Like most free-to-play games, you can also purchase KR to open more loot boxes. But since it is all cosmetics, there is no incentive to do this, unless you want to support the game, which is something that I like. I hate games with pay-to-win elements, or even games with pay-to-convenience elements, like unlocking guns sooner or experience boosts. This game's microtransactions are purely cosmetic, and in this day and age, that is sadly something to commend. Okay, so that basically covers the offerings of the game and what I do and don't like about them. I do wish the game had a little bit more variety in the maps, but like I mentioned, custom servers sort of fulfill that void, although I would not be sad with more maps in the default rotation. Same goes for game modes. I think it would be fun to see more interesting takes on game modes in the default servers. But since you can't search for specific game types and you just get tossed into servers like I mentioned before, this could annoy people if your server randomly changed from free-for-all to something like Big Head mode or something weird like that. So with that, let's move on to the more mechanical aspects of the game. So obviously at this point you can tell the game is a first-person shooter, and for the most part it does that pretty standard. The graphics in this game are pretty Minecrafty, and there has to be a better way to describe this, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to go and say they're Minecrafty. And so while this works for the game, I would have preferred a variety of other art styles. One plus side though, is it does make the characters super easy to notice. I've never had the problem I do in some more realistic games, where at times characters blend in with the environment, making for frustrating moments. Everyone sticks out like a sore thumb, and that, like I said, is a little more enjoyable. Another benefit to the art style, and I'll just put a disclaimer here, I'm not a game dev, so I could be wrong, but I imagine it makes the game much easier to run for a wide variety of computers, which really complements the free-to-play browser model the game uses. I know for a fact when I hop into games, one of the fastest things that turns me away is bad performance. I always want those silky smooth frames. To go with the Minecrafty graphics are pretty average sound effects. Nothing in particular stands out to me as amazing, but there's one specific thing that does bother the shit out of me, and that's the headshot dink. It is so much louder than the rest of the game, and maybe it's just me, but it legit hurts my ears. In Krunker though, I will say it is super easy to change sound files to whatever you want, which is pretty cool. On Reddit the other day, someone had a sound pack with CSGO sounds, which I found pretty sweet since I used to play a lot of CSGO and still kinda do. Along with the custom sounds, you can upload custom gun models and scopes, which a lot of people use to make the gun models invisible and eliminate the black around the default scope. I am torn on how much I like being able to do this. It is cool you can, but playing with no gun models definitely is a slight advantage, but I think the game just looks funky with no models, so I always go back and forth on what to do. Certain guns benefit a lot more from having no gun model, like the sniper or the revolver, as it gives you full vision of the screen at all times, whereas the assault rifle and SMG have red dot sights anyways when you aim down. I know I sorta mentioned this earlier when talking about maps and game modes, but the community in this game is just awesome, which sorta surprised me since I figured the audience would be a lot younger. There are so many cool mods and maps that the community has created, and most of the community is very helpful if you have questions or want to use some of their settings. Don't get me wrong though, there are those annoying people who will call hacks on you anytime you kill them, or just like spam chat in the game, or just anything like that. But every game has those people, and my pleasant experiences with players has much outweighed my bad experiences. So next let's talk about the movement, and oh boy, is the movement in this game satisfying. I won't give you like a full tutorial, so just Google slide jumping if you're curious. But basically if you slide, by holding shift right as you land from a jump, and then jump again, it gives you a huge boost to speed. And you can chain those to fly across the map. It is super smooth and feels great when you're doing it, and it's not even that hard to get decent at. I do still need to get better at slide jumping around corners though. You will notice as you play that the hitboxes in this game are extremely generous, which you could look at as a pro or a con depending on your opinion. It makes it really easy to feel good since it's hard to miss people at times, but on the other hand, you do die a lot more than you would if the hitboxes were more accurate. So Krunker has 11 classes, each with their own weapon and some having differing HP and movement speed. These are split up into 3 main categories being light, medium, and heavy. Some of the classes are definitely more powerful than others, but in pubs nothing is ridiculously broken, and you can basically just play whatever you enjoy the most. I mostly stick to these 3 classes, the Hunter, which is the sniping class, the Triggerman, which is the assault rifle class, and Run and Gun, which is the SMG class, as I find these the most enjoyable. But there are all sorts of classes, ranging from a rocket launcher guy to the runner who just runs around and punches people. Some of the classes even have soft counters, which is kinda cool. For example, the Detective, which is the revolver class, kinda soft counters the sniper, because due to the low HP of the sniper class only being 60, the Detective is able to one-shot them with the revolver. And some of the higher HP classes also soft counter the sniper, since a body shot no longer one-shots them. I've noticed kind of the most give and take for the sniper class, because it's sort of what I've played the most, so I'm sure some of the other classes have soft counters also. But I kind of like how they're just soft countered. It's not like Overwatch where if you have a specific character, you basically have to play this other character in order to kill them. So overall, I would say the Hunter is the best class for solo pubs. But just play whatever you like, because that is what is most important in this game's more casual atmosphere. And before someone hops on and says, "What are you talking about? This game has competitive seed, don't you know? Come on, they had a $4,000 tournament last week." I know, I just mean the default game really complements a laid-back casual environment. And in my opinion, that is what's so awesome about it. I love to be able to just hop into pubs and chill in this, and I feel that is something a lot of games these days lack, so it's nice to have a nice chill multiplayer game, and have a good time and not have to sweat it out in ranked games. Although ironically, one of my complaints about this game would be the lack of an in-game ranked ladder. Because for the same reason I like pubs to chill, you can only do that for so long before you get bored. So I know that kind of sounds hypocritical, but anyways, I hope you understand my point. Overall, Krunker is a fun experience that I would recommend to literally everyone, as it has zero barriers to entry, since you don't even need to download a client. It is a fun little free-to-play shooter, and I hope it continues to succeed. Obviously, I have some issues with it, like I mentioned in this video, but the game's raw gameplay and mechanics make it a lot easier to forgive. And hey, I wouldn't mind seeing it on Steam. So yeah, that is what I like and dislike about Krunker. If you enjoyed the video, throw a like, comment, and sub to the channel. I also stream Krunker and other games semi-regularly, so follow me on Twitch, which I'll toss my link in the description, and I'll see you guys next time.
I'm just fucking with you, man. Alright, someone just left. Try now. Are you still up there, Harkin? God damn it, man. Oh, fucking quad kill, baby. Let's go.